What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. In this episode, we are talking about the future plans for the Aston Martin V8 Vantage on the channel. This is my drift car that we're building here, and let's just talk about realities and other stuff like that. So back a couple months back, we took delivery of the car. We got it in the shop, and my buddy Kaizel built a concept rendering for me that looked like this. And this car is amazingly awesome looking, but there's some reality problems that needed to be reined in a little bit. So what I decided to do was bring this car into the 3D world and build it with only realistic building expectations in mind. Like, what pieces can I build by hand? What pieces can I order if I need to? Which ended up being nearly nothing. And how are we going to build this thing in a realistic time frame, a realistic price range, and in the shop here? So that is what we're going to do. That's what we're going to look over in this 3D model here as I'm like going forward. So what I'm doing right now is I'm building to spec, to the right measurements to match the car, a fender flare. I found these fender flares online. These are like a universal fender flare kit that I found online, and I picked up a set of these, and they're 3.5 inch wide. So we're going to be widening the car by 3.5 inches on each side. And I built these to actually match the measurements and match the car. That way, so I could test fit them essentially. So I'm test fitting them like in virtual space, which is why building stuff in 3D is so awesome. So you can see them here on the car, and they're getting test fit, and we're wrapping them around and bending them in the shapes that we need to without actually bending them. So anyways, they fit on the car. They're going to look good. I'm really excited about that. So we are going to go wide body, which is insane to me because it means I'm going to cut up the most expensive car I've ever bought, but we'll cut it up in the best way possible, and that's it. Got to wide body everything, right? So we're going to go wide body, 3.5 inches on both sides. That's going to get our front mixed with our new wheels. That's going to get the front stanced out a little bit more, which is going to give us better turning angle, because there are no turning angle kits out there for this car. We'd have to custom make the upper and lower control arms and remake them, and then we'd risk really messing up the steering geometry, and I don't want to do that quite yet. If we crash this and have to rebuild them, then we will do that, but until then, we're going to go ahead and go wider. That will give us better turning radius in a car that I've heard already has a really good turning radius. So that should be really, really good for drifting. Next thing on drift car, you got to have a fun wing. I looked at doing a wing that was a rear chassis mount, and it just doesn't look good on this car. I really didn't like the look of it and how it was going to go on this car. So we're doing a trunk mount wing. This is modeled after one from Fareoh. That's the one that I'm hoping to get on this car here. And this is awesome because we can measure the width that I think looks best on the car. So we went ahead and did that, and we got a really cool size and shape for a wing on the car. The next thing is side skirts, and side skirts are really important to keep the car with a good profile and looking good, but also it's like, how are we going to build these side skirts? And it kind of kicked off all the aero stuff that we're going to be building on this car. And I thought about building stuff out of fiberglass. I thought about building stuff out of carbon fiber. I kind of landed on building stuff out of aluminum in the end, because I can source aluminum very easily. I can buy it in any thickness, any length, any size that I need, and I can work with it pretty easily too. So then we also designed these side skirts to be in a way that I thought looked cool, but they don't have any complex bends or complex angles that I can't build in the shop. So I'm trying to design these side skirts to look cool on the car, do their job to funnel air in the way that they need to go, but also not be impossible to build. And that's what we did with these. So they're just simple angles and simple cuts to compose a nice side skirt for the car. And you'll see more of that type of stuff with the front splitter and the rear arrow and stuff like that. Here we're fitting wheels in Photoshop. We're just test fitting wheels and going through the different wheel options that Koenig offers. Koenig and I have been working together for a while, and I'd like to continue that relationship, especially with a drift car where I may be banging some wheels up and I might need extras. Koenig's been hooking me up big time with that stuff, so I look forward to those wheels, and I'll show you guys those. I'm going to be in SEMA in a couple more days, and we're going to stop by the Koenig booth, and I'll show you guys those wheels in person. Hopefully they'll have them there. And those are the wheels. Anyways, I'll show you the wheels that we're going to do in a second when I 3D model them. Next thing is the front grille. My front grille is gone. The stock front grille is in the Ford, I think, Fiesta or something like that. Some Ford car basically stole the Aston Martin front end. I'm really not happy about that now that I have one. It's like the BRZ stole the ass end, and the 350Z stole the hips, and then the Ford, I think it's Ford Fiesta, stole the front grille. So what are we going to do for a front grille? A lot of front grills cost thousands and thousands of dollars. They're like, it's at least $1,000 to get the stock one back. If not, and to get these cool modified ones, they're multiple $1,000s. So what we're doing here is we're actually building one. This is going to be built out of metal that matches that nice front shape that you have, and then we're going to do a honeycomb grill in the back of it with some supports in the middle here that you're going to see. So this is essentially the design. We're just basically copied the design of the stock Aston Martin GT8 front grille. So Aston Martin has built this grille in other cars. It's not going to be the exact same way because I'm obviously going to be the one building it, but I've built front grilles before. They're not impossible to build. That one's going to be quite hard, but I'll get it made and it's going to look good. Next thing we're looking at is the front lip and the front bumper and how we're going to do that. I wanted a front bumper that looked aggressive. It didn't look too stock. Obviously, the aftermarket front bumpers for this car are ghastly. They look like crap and they cost tens of thousands of dollars, which I wasn't about to do. So what we're doing here is we're going to take the front bumper and we're actually going to cut into the polyurethane and take the front opening that is in the main front of the car. It's got a little mouthpiece, little opening, and we're going to cut down to the bottom of the bumper, which will bring that down and leave a nice big open hole. From there, we're going to extend metal around there, making kind of like a lip on it that's going to stick out of the car that you can see here a little bit. And then we're going to have an under tray diffuser that's going to come out from underneath the car. It's going to be a lot more heavy duty than what we built on the Evora, but the same type of style where it's going to bolt into the chassis and then come out and under the car. It's just going to be a lot more heavy duty. And the piece from the bumper will mate up to that. It'll actually physically screw in to that diffuser. And again, honeycomb grill in front of that. I don't know where I'm going to find those honeycomb grills, but I'll buy them somewhere. So then now moving on to the rear bumper aero. So we had our front diffuser and we've got that modification to the front bumper that's going to make it look a lot more aggressive. Now we're going to move on to the rear, and this is like the rear diffuser. So the first thing I had to do with the model is actually modify it so it'll look like my car with the stock diffuser taken off. So I took off the stock diffuser, and then what we're doing here is we're building another diffuser. It's again going to be built out of aluminum. It's going to come out and around and stick out from the back of the car a little bit to the back, keep that aggressive line and keep that like low down to the ground looking line, and have a couple of vertical slats in there. If we ever change the exhaust up, right now the rear bumper has holes for the exhaust. So if you change the exhaust up, then you have these two big open holes in your rear bumper. So I don't want to do that. But if we ever do change the exhaust up, then I'll probably change out that rear diffuser a little bit more to make the exhaust go through the diffuser or something a little bit more complicated looking, so it kind of fills up that empty space. But for now, that's how we're going to do it. Added a couple little arrow fins on the back of the bumper, kind of going towards the rear of the car, pointing towards the rear center of the car. That's just basically for looks. So now, as I mentioned before with the wheels, we're jumping in and 3D modeling this Koenig centigram wheel. Planning on doing 10.5 by 19 on the rear and something a little bit skinnier on the front. We're going to zero out that offset, which will push the wheels out to the side a little bit more, a lot more. If you had a high offset wheel, which this one does, when we zero it out, it's going to bring the wheels out towards the front of or away from the car basically a lot more, which is going to mean that they're going to get closer to our wide body kit. They're going to fill up that empty space, but also we're going to get improved turning radius out of them too. And we'll go, I think 10.5 on the rear is a pretty good size. 19 by 10.5, if I remember correctly, is a good one for buying tires for. So I'm actually going to pick the rear wheel size on the back of the car based on where I can get pretty inexpensive good tires. There are some certain sizes that if you hit that size, you can keep buying tires for really inexpensive, which is going to be an important thing for a drift car. So I think 10.5 is where I want to go with that, and that's a nice wide tire to have traction. So we're building the wheel here, and you can see it, and then we're just applying the wheel to the car. It's a 5-spoke wheel with a little bit of concave. I think it looks really good on this car. Playing around with the gold color on the wheels too. So these come in black and gold, and I don't know, I might get a set of both of them. I'm not really sure, but I think the car, as far as the car paint, I know it's going to be some variation of white. It might be just white, but the Evora is already white, so I don't know if I want to have it match too much. But it might be like white with a hint of blue, like an ice white, or it might be a white with a hint of blue pearl to it. I'm not really sure what I want to do with that. Let me know what you guys think. I don't want to do like the baby blue, robin's egg blue. Maybe not, I don't know. Aston Martin does make a V8 Vantage in the robin's egg blue, and it looks really good. But that might be a little bit too girly for a drift car. So I want to do like a white with just a hint of blue, I think. So what we're going to do there is, so with the wheels, we'll do any color of white looks great with black on it, and then obviously if we want to do gold too, then gold looks cool too. We're playing around with red here in the rendering engine, just because. So the next thing that we're doing is rendering out this car in some scenes, and I am terrible at rendering these things. Rendering a 3D model is its own skill in itself. I had to completely remember how to build 3D models while doing this process, but rendering is a whole nother art. So I got them pretty close, but they're not at 100%. But that's the idea, guys. That's what we're doing for the Aston Martin. In the next episode, I'm going to just talk about, I'll bring you guys through all the parts that we have and how much money they cost and stuff like that. But this is how we're going to build this car, keep it on a realistic budget, and make it look really awesome, make it definitely stand out from the other Aston Martins around, make it drifty and better at drifting, and just make it have its own unique kind of BS for Build look without breaking the bank, and make it so it's like all of these parts are going to be something that we can build in-house. So we're going to go through building the front diffuser, the side skirts, the rear diffuser, all of these aero parts that we're going to build on here, and then we're going to do that body kit, or it's not a body kit, it's a wide body fender flares that we'll install on there as well. So this is the reined in approach for the car. No more engine swap like I mentioned before. If we break a transmission or something like that, then we'll talk about power plant swaps. But until that point, no 2JZ swap. Don't worry about that. I want to get this car done and on the track. My date, my pie in the sky date is before Christmas. So I want to have this car done and drifting before Christmas. So look forward to that. All you guys on the West Coast, I'm hoping to do a tour from Oregon down to San Diego to go drifting with my friends. So that's the game plan, guys. I hope you enjoy it. In the next episode, we'll be in the shop looking at parts and starting repairs on the car. And yeah, this is going to be a little bit faster than the Evora, but it should be a really good build, and I hope to have something really, really amazing looking come out of it. If it looks anything like these renderings, it's going to be pretty damn awesome. So that's the game plan, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like BS for Build and you like what we do and you want to help out and support, head down to bsforbuild.com. Scroll down to the shop section at the bottom. All the merchandise there, buying any of that, all the proceeds go directly towards supporting the show and supporting this build. We will have some Aston Martin stuff coming out soon. And if you want to find us at more places, just check out any of our social media links. All the links are in the description. I did a lot of this 3D modeling while I was online on Twitch with you guys talking, and some of you guys' ideas and images actually influenced the development of this car, like the side skirts and some other stuff too. So thanks to all you guys that joined us on there when we did the live stream. That was a very cool way to bring the community into the very early stages of a build. And that's all that I normally say, other than please remember to like and subscribe, guys. This is kind of kicking off the most expensive series that we've ever done on BS for Build, and one that I'm honestly one of the most excited for. So please tune in for this series. Please hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications if you have to. It's been a tough month on YouTube, to be really honest with you guys. So show the support, show the love for this Aston Martin build, if you would, please, because I think it's going to be a really cool build. That's about it, guys. See you in the shop in the next one. Peace!